a bunch of stubborn, and I don't want to offend anybody, but I have to say liberal as well, who would probably argue with a lot of things. And the main argument is the Bible being the sacred word of God. So I'll tell you, and I have to be careful when I talk like this to not offend nobody, but in the academy they teach us geology and history, and it doesn't always go according to the Bible. When you talk about the ages of some of these stones and stuff like that, and some people tend to think that the Bible is just a bunch of legends or anything, although archaeology is also proving the Bible to be correct with many findings that actually confirm the Bible. But what happened was, about 500 years ago, mankind changed drastically with the Enlightenment era or the Renaissance era, when it seems like people kind of understood that we really don't know as much as we thought we did, and it gave them the drive to go out and search and start from the beginning, and from there on we really, technology and science has changed our world. We can give an example by saying, if somebody would have went asleep, for instance, 2,000 years ago, and he'd wake up 500 years ago, he'd still be able to move around and be a part of society. But if somebody went asleep 500 years ago and woke up today, he'd be totally lost. He would not have the tools to actually live in the world that we live in today, and he would have to have a big period of time to adjust and to learn how to use the tools that we have today. And the reason for that was that people actually took a stand not against the Bible, because some of these people that I'm about to talk about were religious people. They were God-fearing people. People like Galileo Galilei or Isaac Newton. But they took a stand against organized religion and its interpretations of the Bible, and them claiming that by holding on to the Bible in a language that nobody understood and having it chained to the pulpit, that they have all the science, biology, geographic, and history answers in that book. And I really don't believe that the Bible is any of that. It's not a science book, it's not a geography book, it's not that at all. And they started to realize things that kind of took mankind forward, gravity and the shape of the earth and what have you. And from then on, it was just a race that some say we kind of exaggerated, and I do agree to a certain point that they actually threw the baby out with the water. And people came and they stood against not only organized religion but the Bible as well, saying this can't be a true book, because this book, the Bible, talks of events that took place 6,000 years ago, if we talk about Adam and Eve, and the written word wasn't even invented 4,000 years ago. And not only that, but the oldest copies that we had of the Bible was from the 10th century AD, from 1,000 years ago. So they always give the example of, if I say a word and I pass it by one to the end of the bus, and you guys pass the word back yourselves, it'll probably be a whole different word by the time it reaches the end of the bus. So they said throughout the generations, they must have studied these stories by heart, and indeed they did, and they passed them through generations till the time it was written, so many mistakes must have came into the Bible. And they had a strong case, to be honest. Well, what happened here in 1948, they found copies of the Bible that are 1,000 years earlier than what we had up until then. A window of 1,000 years. And when you compare the two texts together,